Hello Fleet, and welcome back to episode 4 of Epic Battles. Now, you're probably wondering, wait, hold on a second, I thought you were doing all the replays and stuff in Nautical Tales. Well, yeah, I am, but I figured that what ended up happening is that in Nautical Tales, it's really good for the slightly shorter highlights. You know, epic dodges that happen within a minute, or, like 3 kills that happens within like 2-3 minutes or something like that. Those are great things for Nautical Tales because you can do a lot of different replays in one video. But sometimes it's not about the moment that makes the battles awesome. Sometimes it's the entire battle, the full 20 minutes or however long a battle lasts. So, I couldn't fit that into Nautical Tales, but I did have this series before where I used to talk about, strategies and how to play and what I liked and all those things. And so I decided that in this particular case, that's where I'm going to put all these replays. These longer ones, the ones that I like and I think are really good, I'll put them into these Epic Battles episodes. So here we are. And today's replay, this is the first player-based replay that I've ever done for Epic Battles, comes from Defcon 13 from the EU server. And Defcon is captaining an Isokaze, the tier 4 Japanese destroyer. Now this particular destroyer has triple dual launchers, which have torpedoes that go out to 7 kilometers. The Isokaze has a surface detectability range of 6.1 kilometers. It's a pretty fast little nimble destroyer, and it can stealth torp, meaning it can torp outside of its detectability range, and so it can stay invisible. And most importantly, its torpedoes can reload super fast, which means this is probably one of the best low tier destroyers in the game right now. So let's see what Defcon does with his destroyer. Let's first take a look at the map. Let's analyze what's happening. All 5 of the enemy team's battleships have gone south, which means they have really concentrated all of their heavy firepower in one place. Defcon's team is a little bit more spread out. They've got 2 of their battleships north, their southern force is kind of retreating. If you look at the 2 cruisers, they seem to be falling back. He has 1 battleship down here. So Defcon really doesn't have that great of a team supporting himself, but it doesn't seem to bother him much. So he pops out. He drops his torpedo against that New York. Now he does get spotted, and I guess now because he's spotted, he's going to try to run away. And the destroyer does let him do that, and as long as he gets outside 6.1 kilometers, he's able to get sort of invisible again. So that's really good. He does take 1 shell there from the New York, but it's nothing significant, at least not right now, because it's still plenty of HP left. But his torpedoes, they hit home, and right there, he bags himself a full HP New York. Now, these battleship captains, and this is something I've got to wonder, because these battleship captains are just sailing their ships in a straight line, and this is something that is very strange. And you'll see that for the rest of this battle. All the battleship captains seem to just be totally blissfully unaware of what's going on around them. Okay, nevertheless, this is really good. I like this moment. This was my favorite moment in the battle. Not because he kills the battleship, but because he kills this destroyer. Watch what he does. I love what he does here. So he selects his torpedoes. There's the lead indicator. Now he knows that the destroyer is turning. So the lead indicator is going to be moving to show you where that ship is heading towards. But if you fire your torpedoes right at the lead indicator, the torpedoes would have missed, because the destroyer, after it turns, and once it pulls straight again, it will accelerate in a straight line. So had you fired your torpedoes at the lead indicator, it would have gone behind that destroyer, because the destroyer, when it turns, loses speed. When it finishes its turn, it'll gain speed. And so that was very good from Defcon, because he actually sits there, he leads ahead of the actual prediction indicator, and he fires, and he manages to bag himself a destroyer. And that's actually my favorite moment, but that only accounted for 1 torpedo hit out of the amazing number of torpedo hits that he is actually going to be able to get in this particular battle. Now, the enemy team, all of their capital ships, still south, but they're not really pushing. So this is, I guess the enemy team just really wasn't that good, because, with that amount of sort of numerical superiority, you would have expected that the enemy team would have pushed quite a bit harder, but they don't. So that really gives Defcon a chance to work his magic. So the next target that he can see is that Miyogi over there. Now again, look at what he does. He is not trying to jump into a place where he's going to engage like 3 different targets at the same time. He's very intelligently only engaging 1 target. The targets in isolation, the targets with no support. In fact, most of the destroyer captains out there, especially ones in Japanese destroyers, and you're wanting to conduct a lot of these sort of longer range stealth torpedo attacks, you really want to sort of pick off those targets that aren't sticking together with their own team. So there he goes. There's the Miyogi. And again, this is something I really liked about Defcon. He's very, very patient with launching his torpedoes. It's not like, okay, there's the lead indicator, boom, my torpedo's out. No. He looks at the ship, he looks at the lead indicator, he makes sure that the lead indicator isn't moving anywhere, that it's not like all of a sudden changing direction or anything like that. And he's waiting until there's definitely no sign of movement from the enemy battleship, and then he fires his torpedoes. This part, on the other hand, again, raises for me some questions about the proficiency of some of these battleship captains, because that destroyer just launched torpedoes. This destroyer was detected by the friendly cruiser. He's popped up on your map, so you would expect the battleship to maybe take just a tiny bit of an evasive maneuver. Not happening. Battleship just sailed continuously in a straight line, gets hit by torpedoes. So, here's a pro tip for all you battleship captains out there. If you are playing a battleship and a destroyer is spotted, and the destroyer, has that ranged torpedoes, do something. Do anything. Turn left, turn right, slow down. Do something to at least make it harder, and I'm not going to say impossible, but at least make it harder for the destroyer to actually hit you with torpedoes, assuming they had actually fired them from long range. Now, Defcon here did try to actually torpedo that Tenryu, but cruisers are sometimes a little bit hard at range because they're much more nimble, and if they see your torpedoes, they can really get out of there a whole lot faster than some battleships. So that's okay. I mean, there's still plenty of targets out here, and so far, mind you, he's bagged both the enemy battleships, right? So let's keep that in mind as he goes for another target. And once again, he's looking for the targets that don't have support. He's not going for the Ishizuchi, the Arkansas Beta with the Tenryu. He's going for this New York that once again is all by himself. And so, once again, Defcon slowly sneaks into range. There's a 7K, that's where his torpedoes would have been effective. There's around 6 point something, 6.5. Okay, there you go. Looks like the ship is again in a straight line. He fires his torpedoes. And this is also something that I was actually quite impressed by, which is that he hasn't used his leading indicator for like 2 of these battleships. So, he's really have to be quite good, and you really have to be quite skilled at doing that. That New York, however, did actually hit him really, really hard. Although, now, if you were the New York captain, here's another thing. You just saw the destroyer. You just shot at the destroyer. You know the destroyer is there. What the hell was this? Look! Oh. Anyways. So, there's the high caliber badge. And Defcon took out another battleship. I mean, that's 3 of the enemy team's 5 battleships, and he's got them. So, plenty of chances now to get more damage, right, Defcon? Because Defcon is continuing to go for all the battleships. That Ishizuchi over there looks nice. Arkansas Beta is hiding behind an island, so not exactly the ideal target. The Tenryu has abandoned his battleship, which is, again, I mean, like, if you were the cruiser on the enemy team, and there's a destroyer here harassing and sinking all of your battleships, go after said destroyer. I mean, that's a cruiser's job, right? But nope. Giving Defcon another chance, and mind you, Defcon, you're real gutsy. I have to give you that, because right here, even with 140 HP, you still went for a battleship that was 5k away. I mean, yes, he probably did check to see if the guns were pointing at him or not, but still, very, 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 gutsy, because you're taking down a ship at a range where they detect you. So even if they can't shoot you, their team could. But I mean, part of this is just, I guess, luck, because there he goes. He bags himself the 4th of 5 enemy battleships on the enemy team. And of course, now he's gotten 4 out of 5. Let's make it 5 out of 5 and a perfect score, because that Arkansas Beta is now alone. Because look at where that Tenryu is gone. That Tenryu should have gone after him, because a destroyer up against a cruiser, that's a bad fight, especially when the destroyer has so little HP. That cruiser should have gone for it. But for that misplay, all the battleships on the enemy team are paying for this one cruiser's, I'm not going to use the word incompetence, but oh yes, incompetence. So here we go. Arkansas Beta and Defcon's going for him. And mind you, all these battleships he's been sinking for full HP pretty much, except for that Ishizuchi. The majority of the battleships he's taken on have been full HP battleships, and these battleships are, holy crap, very inattentive, if that's the way to put it. Once again, there you go, watch Defcon. Gets within range. There you go, torpedoes out. And again, very interesting way of actually firing off his torpedoes. Have you noticed? He doesn't fully just put his entire his aiming crosser, sorry, on the actual leap indicator. He put it a little bit ahead, tiny little bit ahead, thinking that the Arkansas Beta is actually picking up speed and most likely going to continue to move forward. So there we go. Launched his torpedoes, did get detected, but used his smoke. Now, smoke, because of the smoke duration, well, not duration, sorry, the smoke laying time nerf, the smoke is now significantly better as a retreat option. There you go. Gets himself the 5th enemy battleship, and him by himself has taken down all the enemy team battleships. Grabbed himself a Confederate badge as well, and just did amazingly well in a tier 4 destroyer. He managed 27 torpedo hits. I mean, call me impressed. That is not an easy number to accomplish when you're playing a destroyer. So let's take a look at how much damage he actually did. Well, Defcon did, get this, 219,000 damage. That's right, 219k. That is amount of damage. Truth be told, that is the amount of damage you're likely to see from some tier 9s and 10s. So to accomplish that in a tier 4, major props to you, Defcon, and you very well deserved spot on this epic battle series. I mean, congratulations on that amazing battle of yours. And of course, we can take a look at how much credits and everything he earned as well. On a non-premium account, Defcon made 260,000 credits, but that's not the the amazing part. The amazing part is that experience. That's without the 1.5, no premium, no flags. He got 3,269 base experience in a tier 4 destroyer. That is phenomenal. Thank you so much for sending in that replay, Defcon, and to all the people who are watching, hope you enjoyed it, hope you picked up something, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all next time.